Let's start with the personalization in social selling. What about that? We are talking about personalized messages mostly. Of course, we can use personalization in, for example, in commenting. This is also works very well. And for example, Morgan and Nicholas showed it. Sorry, sorry, showed it, and it was very interesting and bright. But we are going to talk about messaging mostly. And personalized messages, they start with a little bit. Let me just drink. Sorry. Yeah. They start with a little bit of espionage, we call it like this, because we need to do some research and find some interesting information, some not very obvious information about your target audience representatives, and you can use this information in the conversation. Actually, we call this information, this maybe conversation starters, compelling events, because these are specific events you can use. You can just, for example, use as a trigger to start the conversation. One of them is beginning of the fiscal year. They plan the budget, and you can, for example, come to them with some ideas, come to them with some interesting proposals. The next compelling event is legislation. It's applicable to different industries. For example, it's something usually changed in financial industry and maybe some other industries, manufacturing, etc. So if, or data protection, if new laws and requirements just decided to happen, I would say you can also use this information and start the conversation, because they need to react on it and adapt to the new circumstances. Next is, for example, the prospect potential client has a current problem. They, for example, they have a problem in business and they need to fix it. Of course, how can you know about it? They can share it in the posts or in the chats, or maybe even in the interviews in media. When, for example, you watch YouTube interviews, sometimes they can share their problems and you can use this information. Of course, end of the fiscal year, if they have some budget left, you can also suggest some ideas which is relevant to their businesses. And if company has some positive news, such an award, nominations, digital transformation, or something like this. But I would like to warn you, if you use the company's information, some company's news, some maybe award-winning, I don't know, announcements or something else, it can be a situation when this information is not relevant to a particular person you are reaching out to. And in this case, this person will just ignore you because it's not relevant to them. They maybe even don't know anything about the specific project or specific, I don't know, competition the company participated in, and your message will be irrelevant for them. So in this case, it's very important to check whether this person is involved to this positive news, to these activities like awards, etc. So it's important to check their LinkedIn page, or maybe their page in some other social media, I mean personal page, because if you check only company information, it can be an awkward situation when they, for example, never heard about this award or this news, and you're referring to this information. We actually, this is from our experience as an agency. We know it's from our mistakes when, for example, people get the messages which are not relevant to them, but they are very customized. They are very personalized by companies' information, but they are not relevant for the people. So yeah, in this case, they just ignore, and it's very, very difficult to continue the conversation with them, to get them back. What other compelling events you can use? You can use some professional compelling events. These are events which happen in the professional life of this certain person, so it's more reliable information you can use. For example, the promotion or transfer to a new company. When people get the new job position, or maybe they transfer to a new company, they're usually very open to new initiatives. They are interested in building some new connections and be more effective at their work. So we can use that and congratulate them and start the conversation. If, for example, they have specific tasks from their managers and they need to, I don't know, to solve the problem or implement some solutions by the certain deadline, you can also use this information. How you can find out? It's not so easy, because usually when you get some maybe task from your boss, you don't post it on LinkedIn, obviously. There are some tools for intent monitoring. They monitor the target audience searches. For example, they can find the companies who are actively searching for a particular topic. For example, I can set up the settings that I'm getting the list of the companies who are actively searching the social selling topic. And I know that someone from this company is searching. The tricky part of this is that I don't know who exactly does it, but I can maybe just think about it and just try talking to some people who can be relevant. For example, marketing director, sales director, business development director, or maybe sales managers and business development managers, so marketing managers, and I will find those who are interested in this particular topic, my topic. Also, sometimes companies, employees, or even top managers or CEOs, they post some case studies and they post some stories about their problem and how they solve it, or maybe their pains. And you can use this information and suggest them some ideas. Also, sometimes they don't post it, but they share this information in the interviews when the interviewer asks them some questions and they share it. That, for example, this problem is solved this way, this problem is not solved. So you can, if you, for example, are interested in the particular companies, you can monitor their updates, their interviews they have, for example, top managers get, or some maybe posts or other updates. Next compelling event is an open question to the audience from the target client. Usually it happens when someone asks the question in the professional group or on their own LinkedIn or maybe even Facebook page or somewhere else. They ask questions and they are looking for maybe advice or replies or recommendations. And this is your chance. It's important to monitor these types of questions and reply to them. And usually when you reply to these questions, you recommend something, you give them some advice. In this case, because this is a public activity, you get not only this lead who asked the question, for example, or requested some recommendations, but you also get some additional leads, just people who also have this problem, this question maybe, and they can also send you a personal message with their questions, with their comments. This is why it's important. And the last but not least, compelling events type is personal compelling events, personal occasions you can use. A lot of people, they post personal content. Of course, sometimes it's not on LinkedIn, but on Instagram, for example, and other platforms, but on LinkedIn as well. Many people post personal content for now, and this is the trend after COVID trend, I would say. And you can use this information to start informal conversations for them. Also, you can, for example, find some mutual hobbies and build loyalty based on this information. You can congratulate with the personal achievements which are not related to work, it's okay, or congratulate them with some national holidays or birthdays. For example, when we work with MENA region, many countries, they celebrate Ramadan. It's Islamic holiday, and it's quite long in terms of number of days. They celebrate it, and we congratulate the target audience with Ramadan, because it's very important, very important holiday. So the audience really appreciates this congratulation messages. And of course, you can start selling just based on some personal compelling events. It's inappropriate if you just start selling after that. It's about building relationship, and it's important that this is long-term relationship, and you just start becoming, I would say, friends with your target audience. It helps you. I would like to show you some examples of what kind of information you can use. Here is the example of CTO of Hellenic Bank in Greece, and his last post was 11 months ago. So as for his posts, it's not relevant to start conversation using some information on his page because it's not fresh. But we found, for example, some interesting facts on the company's page. Proud to be recognized as best bank in Cyprus. Yeah, it's not only Greece and Cyprus. So we can use this information for sure, but be very careful, because maybe this particular person is not involved to this, for example, to this competition, yeah, of best banks, etc., and this rating, and he probably doesn't know anything about it. So yeah, if you would like to be relevant, of course, use the information you are sure that this person is involved in. Some other examples about professional compelling events. For example, we can find the posts, quite fresh posts from Vladimir, that he has changed his job and moved to Raiffeisen Bank in Croatia. So this is a very good occasion, I would say. We can congratulate him and continue the conversation. And we can use some personal compelling events. For example, some people, they tell their very wonderful stories. For example, here, I'm not sure that I will be correct with the name, but I will call her Olu. Olu just shared that her father got a degree at the university at age of 67. It's inspiring. It's very nice and beautiful story. So this is a good way to start the conversation as well, to start building the relationships, because you can just be very soulful and give some maybe compliments, because this is a great story. Or some other examples, like about Sonia is sharing some interesting trends, like food delivery by robots. Of course, this is not as personal as the other example, but anyway, it works, and you can start the conversation with her about some trends, about some interesting maybe insights. You can also share some news, and you'll start the conversation. It's very important, yeah, and you'll become not maybe friends, but it will be much easier for you to communicate in the future. And actually, we have in the communication and personal messages, we have two basic approaches. First is direct one. You can use, for example, business and professional compelling events to just send the direct message, like direct to the point. Because sometimes people, they just feel comfortable if on LinkedIn they get a message about business and they understand what you want from them actually, because sometimes people, they just ignore your networking messages or some small talk, because they understand that here on LinkedIn usually you came here not just to chat with them, and they will understand that sooner or later you will start selling. This is why direct approach works for us in our experience. For example, when we are very transparent and we say what we really want and what's our goal, and you can use it. And as for building relationships, this is also a very good approach. Of course, it's a bit longer, and it's okay, but you get much warmer leads after this approach comparing to the direct one. Less, but warmer. And this is why this approach also works well. And you can use it, you can interact with the audience on a personal way, and you can even use professional compelling events to build relationships. It's also relevant. I will show you some examples of the posts, how they can look like. For example, we found some information about Hellenic Bank again, right? Some interesting facts. And what we can say to the target audience representatives. First of all, we can congratulate the decision maker, because this is actually the winning. Yeah, the bank was recognized the best bank in Cyprus. This is a very good occasion, and we can congratulate and ask if, for example, our proposal, not maybe a proposal, the topic, what we are good at, what we offer, is relevant to their company right now. This is the message example, and here in the first part of the message, we congratulate this person, and in the second part of the message, we share our observation, and we ask the qualifying question to understand, to learn more about, do they have this business needs? We don't actually suggest anything yet. We are just exploring their needs. We need to know, do they have this need or not? And after that, we will come with the details. Or we have different news that Hellenic Bank is growing in terms of profits, and we also can congratulate the compliment decision maker on that news. And we can, for example, also share some opportunities of our solution, which can give them even more opportunities to grow. For example, we refer to the article about the bank's earnings in the first quarter, and we congratulate this person. And after that, we provide some ideas based on our solution. We share some information, and we continue the conversation with the qualifying question to understand whether they are interested or not. Next approach is the approach based on the professional compelling events. Here, yeah, I will come back. Yeah, here are some examples of, for example, the Vladimir changed his job, and Javier, he participated in Expo, and we can use this information to start the conversations with them. For example, we congratulate Vladimir with changing his job, and Raiffeisen Bank, a very good, very interesting place to work at. And we just also ask the qualifying question where we try to figure it out whether they are interested in this kind of solutions or not. Do we need to solve this problem, or maybe it's already solved? And it's important. Of course, we can find this information ourselves, but if we can't find it, we can ask this qualifying question. As for Javier, here we can also refer to the Open Expo. He visited, yes, and we can not just visited, he was a speaker actually, and we can, for example, complement his speech or even mention some insights to show that we really watched it and we loved it, and we found some interesting information in there. And after that, we of course also show that we did some research and we found some information about his company, and we know some facts that they are planning, for example, digital transformation. It's in the news. So we can ask the qualifying question, or even just share what we are offering, what we're talking about. This is what we can do. As for building a relationship, how can we do it? We can like and comment on the posts of target audience, of course, both personal and expert ones. We can react to their stories if we are following them, for example, on Instagram or Facebook or somewhere else. We can start some small talk, but if we start small talk in personal messages, in our experience, is not a good way just to start small talk, because people, they just feel that something is wrong with that you will start selling them later. So start small talk if they started it, or you can start it in the comments. It's more natural. For example, starting small talk in the comments. And you can use some soft selling tactics by sharing valuable information, some maybe interesting insights, articles, materials, videos, etc. So how it works? We go back to this, to our examples, right? For example, this is a very personal post and food delivery robots and some birthdays announcements. And we can send different messages to our target audience. For example, we can congratulate Vladimir with his birthday. And of course, we don't sell anything. Yeah, this is just one step to build the relationship. We can just maybe share with Sonia that we also read this article and we have some thoughts and ideas about this. And also we can share some additional materials. And we can, for example, share with Olu that we were really excited by her posts, by her news that her father did that. This is very impressive. And you can talk a bit about this news, but without selling anything. This is the long-term approach of building a relationship. And what's important to know here is when you start communicating with your target audience, try to personalize your messages. But there are also some interesting nuances here that sometimes, yes, you personalize messages and it works very well because you find some, I don't know, some compelling events which really trigger your target audience and they react, they answer your messages, and it works. But usually it doesn't work because sometimes you use, for example, irrelevant compelling events. You find some information from the company's page or from the news, but this information can be relevant to the particular person. So sometimes here at the risk that we can make a mistake, but it's okay, and just check whether this information is relevant to a particular person you are talking to. Or, for example, you can start with more standard first message, and when you get the reply or after the first call in the follow-up, you, after getting a lot of new information about this person, you can personalize and create a very brilliant message, which is going to work well. Of course, you can use compelling events just not only for sales, but for building relationship purpose. It's also work, it's also effective. You can do that. And you can use different sources of information where you can find the information about your target audience. For example, social media, their personal profiles, companies, blogs, news, and social media accounts as well. But yeah, again, if you use companies' information, be sure that this is the relevant information to the particular person. It's especially important when you talk to people from large companies. Sometimes they have no idea what other department is doing. This is why the company's news, for example, which company posts several times a day, can be completely irrelevant for the certain person. And you can just, in these different sources, you can find most suitable compelling events. But my suggestion is to focus on, I would say, personal channels. For example, personal social media page of this particular person, right? Personal interviews with this person, or maybe public speech. And this is your, it guarantees that you will be relevant. You use not very general information, not irrelevant information. This is very important. And in this case, your personalization efforts, I would say, will work and will be effective. So thank you for listening my presentation, for watching it.